Yo, what's up, everybody? Yo, how you doing? Listen, I hope everyone's safe during this time during coronavirus. I'm praying for you and your families, wishing you all the best. Listen, today's show is a special one. Yeah, this man has won multiple tournaments, has traveled internationally. He's somebody who has seen many, many years of dance. Yeah, in many different arenas. I first met this young man at an AOV audition, Academy of Villains. Shout out Farside and Crystal. And we met and we've been friends ever since. He brought me around krump. He showed me the ways and really directed me in a place and towards a direction where I could really, where I could really succeed. So for that, I'm forever grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Dante, aka Dread. Yo, what's up, everybody? Yo, how you doing? Listen, I hope everyone's safe during this time during coronavirus. I'm praying for you and your families, wishing you all the best. Listen, today's show is a special one. Yeah, this man has won multiple tournaments, has traveled internationally. He's somebody who has seen many, many years of dance. Yeah, in many different arenas. I first met this young man at an AOV audition, Academy of Villains. Shout out Farside and Crystal. And we met and we've been friends ever since. He brought me around krump. He showed me the ways and really directed me in a place and towards a direction where I could really, where I could really succeed. So for that, I'm forever grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Dante, aka Dread. Yo, Dread, can you hear me, brother?
Yeah, man, I got to get my earphones,
Get them situated.
over here being a wild person over here doing a whole bunch of stuff at my house. Let me grab my headphones and head out where the sun is because, I live in a cave now.
Yeah.
Dread Man has always lived in a cave. So, when you live in a cave, you get bad reception in certain areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, man, I feel like we all living in a cave right now, especially with fucking quarantine and stuff going on. It's like we're all locked in a hole.
Man, and for me, it's crazy because even for me with this quarantine, it's a little bit more dire for me. I'm pretty sure I'll end up talking about it at some point, but it's way different. It's a little different for me right now, just because of the severity of everything, and you personally already know why, but
Yeah, well,
just living the life, my guy living the life. There they are. There are my headphones. All right, I found the headphones. Here we go. It's like a dang race against time. I feel like I'm Hitman right now.
well, there is no race here on this. It's just two guys chilling, talking. It's a chance to fucking put some good vibes out there in the world. You know what I mean?
The smoking section without smoking. Well, at least I can't smoke, so.
Yeah, I was about to say,
you're going to have to smoke for both of them.
I'm smoking right now.
Yeah. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, well, hey, so check it out, brother. So first I wanna say doing the podcast with me and taking some time out, you know what I mean, because it really does mean a lot. But I wanted to give you a quick moment to just tell the people
who you are, where you came from, kind of like your origin
story. Oh man. Okay. You can hear me, right? Everything is clear. You can hear me clearly.
Yeah, I got you.
How you guys doing? Welcome to the smoking section with myself, the dread man who walks the earth, I guess you could say. I guess my origin starts. I don't know why I always say this, man, but May 13th, 1989, man. I was born with a terminal chronic terminal illness called cystic fibrosis. It's a DNA inherited disease. You can only get it through birth. DNA contracted type thing. One of my chromosomes is tainted. It's malfunctioning, so it makes my body overproduce mucus and breaks down my body slowly over time, deteriorates over time because of mucus infection, scar tissue from lung infections, coughing, all that great stuff. I'm from Oakland, California, Yay area, 510, and I reside now in the 818. In of my life, I've been dancing since I was 9. Just dancing, doing whatever dancing I could. I started clowning at 11, and I was clowning until I turned 14, till I went to high school. And most of my life I was in the house anyway because of my health, in and out of hospitals, doctors. I had different procedures that I had to go through as a kid, as a baby, that I survived, got through at least. And, 17 years later, here I am, another man in the world, doing my best to make a difference one day at a time, through dance, through interaction, through energy, through sharing wisdom, and just being dread, man. It's a different time to be dread these days, but that's just me. That's where I come from. That's how I've gotten to the point where I'm at right now. Without going into too much detail, that's pretty much my origin.
Well, I mean, listen, bro. I've known you for some time now, about 5-6 years now. You know what I mean? So a lot of this I know already, like, you know what I mean. But I feel like it's good for the world to hear it too. You know what I mean? And because a lot of people, I don't think, we've had this talk many times, but it's like no one ever takes the time to kind of sit down and appreciate what's going on around them. You know what I mean? At the current moment, we either look too far into the future or too far into the past. And it's like, sometimes we need to look at each other and be like, damn, dog, you've been dealing with this for how long? You've been dancing for how long?
A lot of, you're not the only one, but you're the main one. You're one of the main ones. Besides somebody like, shout outs to Beast, Sherwin. He's another person that really understands and knows the internal flux capacity that is dread. Like, he knows it just like you, and yeah, man, it's hard to stop and smell the roses these days, man, with everything going on. And fortunately and unfortunately for me, I am a very conqueror type person. I've always been a conqueror type person almost my entire life, from having to fight through struggles of just trying to stay alive to just trying to be able to have a normal breath. You know what I'm saying? To where I'm at now, where it's like, before my breath runs out, I got to do as much as I can. I got to compete and get as many accolades as I can, not only for the legacy of my fam, my little homies, but also just the legacy of, me and my mom. My mother, sacrificing everything she could at 17, 18 to have me type shit. You know what I mean? So for me, I also, it's definitely hard. I agree. It's hard to really sit back and look at, everything you've done it's in the back of your mind. You think about it. It's always like an internal thing. It's always something that's driving you, but you never really like sit there and really stop and smell the roses. And then by the time it's time, either, God forbid, something has happened to you, something's happened to your family, or you passed, and your friends and loved ones and other people have to smell the roses for you. So, I appreciate this type of platform where, hopefully it'll help other people, whoever comes on to this, be able to stop and reminisce and smell the roses as well. It's a dope thing to have these days, man. Um, it's definitely dope to have this type of shit.
Yeah, man. I just, this whole season, bro, has been about, it has been about emotional, mental, social health. Like, you know what I mean? And it was, and like what I was going through with my breakup. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the history of that relationship. And so, for me, I was like, you know what? I need to figure out, because just dance wasn't scratching that itch for me no more. You know what I mean? So it was like, all right, I'm going to do this podcasting. Let me speak it out. Let me actually verbally say these things that hurt. You know what I mean? And so as men, coming out off the streets and shit, we never had that outlet. That's why we played football. That's why we danced. That's why we did this. That's why we did that, And I think it's time now, that we start having these conversations, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as men. Like, it's just as men.
Because,
It's real life
for a
shit.
lot, for me,
real talk.
Dance to an extent is still that. It still gets that itch for me, but it's slowly starting to get to that point now where no, it doesn't. And a lot of things that a lot of people miss is that, different.
Hey, Dread, brother, you're cutting out,
Different
man.
scratches, different itches require different scratches, and us as right. Well, if dance cured this
Yeah.
scratch, maybe it'll cure this scratch. And even though you pull from a different psychological standpoint and you pull from a different emotional standpoint when you're dancing, sometimes the emotional still lingers. It's still there. It's still keeping you up at night. It's still bothering you. It's still taking your energy away from conquering and doing more positive things throughout the day because you're still thinking about it. So, of course, like I 100% agree that, sometimes speaking just doesn't do, sometimes dancing just doesn't do it anymore. You got to speak about it. You got to talk about it. You got to be able to vent. People have forgotten how to vent. And certain people have forgotten how to listen to people vent and not judge and just like let people vent and share empathy, but then also share wisdom, share knowledge, share experiences and how people they were going through the same thing as you. Share ways of how you got through it and see if any of those ways can help the next person, or sharing your ways might help somebody figure out a new way, and that's a new energy that's in the world. A lot of people I feel like people in this generation, in this day and age, have forgotten that. We've forgotten how sharing things is like one of the best ways to not only give insight to how people think, people's energy, people's mindset, people's emotional health, but it's also a good way to bring forth new things. You can't bring in new things while you're still holding on to old things. So it's crazy.
Yeah, and these days too, man, I just feel like so much of our stuff is on social media, which is a good and a bad thing, you know what I mean? And I just feel like texting these things sometimes isn't always the best way, because there's demeanor in our body language, and there's a certain this about our, you know, our tone and the inflection of our voice. You know what I'm saying? And so with this, bro, like, you know what I mean? Like with this whole thing, like that's why I'm glad I have you on, because I feel like you're real. Like you're in depth with your emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like, and people get
I'm
that confused
passionate.
with being emotional.
Yeah,
When
I'm
it's like, nah,
passionate. I'm
like
very
he's feeling
passionate
and he's
about
telling y'all
things.
how
And
he
I know,
feels. Like,
and one
yeah, you know
thing
what I mean? You're
men
like,
don't know how to be emotionally
it's
passionate, but still firm and masculine. People associate being passionate with being feminine, and that's not the case. Like if you know how to speak about your emotions, it means that you're intellectually in depth with what you know and what you feel, and no one can ever convince you you don't feel the way you feel isn't real. It's like, no, it's real. It may be misguided, it may be at a premature stage, but what I feel is what I feel. And you know, it's great that I'm glad that, you know, whoever sees it can see it, because it's hard to stay dedicated to that. It's hard to feel comfortable with that these days. It really is. It's difficult. I feel for anybody and everybody that has to go through that, because we're in a
see it.
difficult time to be able to be like that, and people see it as being passionate instead of being feminine.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand, you know, me, you, everybody. We got insecurities. We got things that make us insecure. You know what I mean? For and I know for a fact, some of your insecurities are bred because of your dancing. You know, what you've went through, and things that you've had to face bred certain insecurities inside of you. Just like my dancing. Like my dancing has bred certain insecurities inside of me.
Yeah.
I think all dancers kind of feel that a little bit. You know what I mean? But one thing I do want to ask you though is what's one thing that ever made you, like, what's the moment for you right now in your career, like somebody like hella random come up to you and say, well, Dread, what's your biggest moment that you ever had, or when did you ever feel the most accomplished, or when do you feel that you really succeed? Like, what's one moment that like clicks fast in your head?
Blessed to have some really great moments in my career with dance. Um I think still I have some newer moments that have been just as emotionally fulfilling for me. I mean, every moment I try to feel every moment that I have in Crump, every moment. Any tournament win, any battle win, any session win, because there's wins and sessions too. There's levels and sessions too. There's the feeling of really having that moment where you connect to the music, you connect with the people around you while you're sessioning, and just whatever you do, people are finally on your wavelength. That's also, you know, a big moment for some people. It's been a big moment for me in certain sessions as well. I think for me, say I can't put it on one, but I will say that one of the biggest ones was, of course, round 2014 when I won the last, I think it was the last round tournament they had for the realm. I don't, you know, we haven't had a realm in a long time. Um, and that was that was a crazy experience. That was a very crazy experience for me in Crump. Like that was a very crazy experience. Um, I was, let's see, 2014. I'm in my 20s. I had just battled Little NY Madness, the old Little NY Madness. Shout outs to Raw Claw, Instagram, Raw Claw at Raw Visuals, Instagram handle.
Raw
Takes
Claw,
amazing
yeah.
pictures now. Um, it was right after I battled him. It was a two-part thing. I remember when the video of me and his battle, it just blew up. I remember it just randomly. I was randomly walking to work one morning, And the whole video, everything just blew up about it. Everybody was talking about it. And I remember like 2 months later was the round. And I remember I was so nervous. I was so scared and nervous to do that tournament. I remember, I think that was around the time I was doing the work, just got really confident in, okay, I need to lab. There's a certain level of confidence you get once you realize, like, okay, I really want to train. I really want to lab. I really want to create. I really want to have that will, that confidence to go in there and do my best shit. Pardon my French. So I remember I was doing 6-hour days. I would get up 6, 7 in the morning, go to work at 9, get to work by 9. I would work until about, I want to say 2 or 3 or 4. I would get home at 5 or 6, and I would practice from 6 to damn near 11, 12 o'clock at midnight every day. I was doing it every day for 2 months straight. I think the only day I rested was, it was like the day my mom, both me and my mom were home. So I was like, oh yeah, no. If we all got moms, and we all know when moms be like, I don't want to hear that music, you be like, all right, mom, I'm done. So yeah, it's like, all right, let me kick it back. So I remember I was doing those. I remember I went, shout outs to my twin. I remember he picked me up, and we're heading out there. He's asking me how I feel about it. I'm like, bro, I don't even know if I'm gonna do it. And I remember I remember walking up to sign up, and me personally, I'm a very energy spiritual person in my life. And I remember I was just asking the universe, like, tell me when to go, tell me when to sign up. So, we finished the workshops, crazy, amazing workshops by the creator, Todd Eyes. And I remember I was just sitting there. I was like, man, should I do it? Man, should I do it? And I remember a little voice in my head said, sign up now. And I remember that I signed up. And I was the 9th person. Sign up sheet. And I remember, and it was crazy because my mom had a conversation with me prior to going in to the event. And she had said something deep to me. And then the next day, she kind of reiterated the same thing, but she said it in a different way. But she reminded me that my life path number spiritually is the number 9. So when I signed up as number 9, I was like, I was still so scared and nervous. I never thought about it. So fast forward, bam, I go in, I do the prelim. I had one of the best prelims in my group. Shut it down. I was like, okay, I mean, it's cool if there's so many there were so many great people in it. I remember, I guess, Bino, I got into it last minute. Street Noise was in it. Twigs, my brother from, my bro from Japan. Shout outs to Twigs fam, KOBENT. I remember Twigs was in it. My close friend of years, Rockstar was in it. Native was in it. The homie Rambo, Twin Basics was in it. Tiger was in it. Shout outs to Mad Roots. My boy Tiger was in it. Bino was in it. Shout outs to my little bro Bino. Love that nigga, man. It's so many great people were in it. I was like, man, I don't know, but whatever happens, happens. And I remember me and my twin, we were late to the start of the event. And, I kind of got dressed up. I was like, I'm just going to watch. I'm just going to chill, enjoy, support. I didn't think it was my time yet. And I remember I walked in and they were announcing the names, and I looked at the stage right as Chess said, Dread, very last person, the very last person to get announced. And I literally turned around and said, well, I guess I gotta go change. And I literally went and changed. And the rest of that night was history for me. Like, I beat people that I would have never thought I would have beaten. Stone, South Truck, He was J Madman. Twigs, man, I believe I still talk about it to this day. Twigs gave me the craziest minute or minute 30, minute 20. I don't know if it was 45 seconds, but this man gave me a round of all rounds. And I remember I was just sitting there like, oh my God, what the hell am I about to do versus that? And I remember that same little voice was just like, just do it, just go, just be you, just go. This is what you waited for. And I really pushed. I pushed myself. And right when I was gonna stop, I remember something told me, keep going. I had just did something, and I remember I was sitting there looking around, and something said, keep going. And I said, okay, I'm gonna keep going. And I turned around. I kept dancing. I remember I saying, it's a battle now. Now it's a battle. And I did something crazy, and I really pushed myself. At the end, I remember it was me, it was Street Noise, and it was Bino, and I remember I was just. There's very few times where you just feel like you're just gonna swing till your arms can't swing no more, and I remember that was the first time I ever felt like that, and I remember when Miho but he passed the winnings to me. And he raised my hand, and I remember just everybody exploding. And I remember I'm looking at my hands with everything in it. I'm like, I won. I did it. I won. It was my first big tournament. It was the first tournament I ever competed in, and I won the first time I ever went into something like that. I won, and I remember like I went outside afterward. I think I took the biggest breath of air, and I think I wanted to cry, and I couldn't. I was just like, yo, like I really did it. And that was the probably biggest, one of the biggest, best feelings I've had ever in my career, like ever. I still have not experienced anything that, resonates with me. The amount of energy, the amount of feeling I had after that, going through it and after it, like I don't have anything that amounts to that. That was truly one of the best experiences of my career. Truly.
See, and that's one of those things where I'm like, you know, I just wish you could have a pause button right
If I
there
had
and
a
just have a
pause
moment so
moment,
that we can
I will
enjoy
say
that
if I
moment.
had a
You know what I
pause,
mean?
I
Just
think that
enjoy that
pause
moment a
button
little
would
bit
still
longer.
be on. Cause that feeling, I would say
Yeah.
that feeling for me was possibly how you felt when you won the Beast Camp Rookies Tournament to earn a spot to battle at the Buckster. I think for me, that
Oh
feeling
yeah.
of, oh, I did it, oh yeah, come on. I think it was probably the same feeling you had when you went against all the peers that you were coming up with, and you just every single one beating them, fighting. This is for me. This is for my son. This is for my father. This is for my family. Like you just kept going, just kept trucking, just kept going. Like I'm gonna swing till I can't no more. Like me personally, like if I was to compare it, I think your first big tournament win, I think in time back, as in another 5 to 10 years, you'll look back on that moment like how I look back on mine, and it'll resonate with you of accomplishment, but it also gives you a sense of, you know, what I do. I've done that.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember that, dude, and I remember you know, I definitely do remember like afterwards there's that high you have for a little bit, you're like, yo, that shit was crazy. Like, and you just reminisce about the night and shit. Like, yeah. I get it, man. Listen, so we're coming here towards the end, bro. I wanted to give you a chance. This is gonna be something I start doing with everybody, but leave a little gem. Like what's your dreads gem of the
Dredge
day
gem of the
for everybody
day.
who's gonna be tuning in?
I will say this: don't afraid the way don't be afraid to do things the way that no one else is doing it. Since about 15 years, 14 years, maybe you could say. And I have always done things the hard work way, you don't give up way, the you follow. There's an invisible code in Crump that a lot of people have lost sight of. There's like a pecking order. There's a level of pecking order, and then there's a level of feeling, intention, affirmation, and connection with the energy that is Crump. That's how you experience it. Don't be afraid. Don't get discouraged when things aren't going the way that you envision it. The way things are going is the way that it's supposed to go to build you up to be able to take on everything. Nothing is going to be given to you in life, and nothing is given to you in dance. The more work you do and the more you love yourself as well as the movement, the more that love is translated through your work, and the more people will love the day goes on, I guess. But Jim, don't be afraid. Pretty much, don't be afraid
My
to
dog.
connect and give into that energy and let that energy propel you forward.
Hey, even that's that beginning part, bro. Talking about don't be afraid to be different. Like that was always, when I started crumping, dancing under you and shit. It was like I'm gonna do things my way. Like, you know what I mean? Like Dred's telling me to do it. I'm gonna do this, but I'm gonna
Weird,
make it
man.
my way.
Being weird is the new
Just did shit
cool.
different.
That's what I say.
Um,
If you weird, you're cool. There's no cool in dance. There's no
yeah.
cool in the life energy of dance. It's either love or fear. Don't act out of fear in dance. Act out of love. Love your training, love your energy, love your people, and love your path. No matter how hard or how easy it is, love it. The more love you give to it, the more love is given to the world. The more fear you give to it, the more fear is given to the world. There's only two trees in life, love or fear. Which one are you going to act out of? You act out of love, it'll the longevity of you will go tenfold through generations. You act out of fear, you'll create yourself before you even start.
My dog. Well, listen, bro. It was a pleasure having you on. Thank you. And